And we're rolling. Hello. It is Sunday, September 2nd, 2018, and here is your reading. So to review your question, let's see, it's a love reading. It's to do with an on and off relationship. There's a distance involved. He's in another country, so it's been complicated, but it's to see what's going to happen next. We currently aren't talking, but I feel there's more to come, being psychic yourself. But I can't properly read when, you can't properly read when it's you. So let's take a look. So the deck you picked is the Smith-Waite Centennial deck. And you picked animals, so we're going to use, for oracle cards, we're going to use Chip Richards' The Secret Language of Animals. And these are illustrated by my favorite artist, Jimmy Manton. And let me see. So I used the 9-digit number that you gave me to transform. I transformed it using numerology to pick cards for you. So I picked a tarot card, and I like to save this one till the very end, which to sum up the reading or to use it as a guide. And then I like to start off with one, like with the oracle card, to just set the tone for the reading. Oh, you got snow leopard. So you've got it. The snow leopard represents mystery, agility, belief, and sensitivity. So mystery, agility, belief, and sensitivity. It's interesting. And it's a pretty picture. So let's see now what comes up for you. I'm going to draw 3 cards to lay a foundation. One, 2, and 3. Let's see what we've got here. Well, interesting. So I usually don't, lovers doesn't come up very often for me when I do love readings. So, so this is a major arcana. So I think something significant's been going on in your life with respect to some sort of partnerships, contracts, love and things like that. Now, the original definition of the lovers often has to do with the meeting of 2 parties for an agreement, because if you think about, like in medieval times, what love was all about amongst the gentry and amongst the people who could afford paper and have tarot cards, it was often about like alliances and joining land and things like that. So it wasn't necessarily about romance. It could have been anything about, you know, a contract, a legal case, or whatever. Now, however, since you did ask for a reading about romance, I feel like it could mean that. But, you know, since you're not actually speaking to him right now, I think you also said there's a distance. So I think something's been going on in your life where some sort of contract has come up. So I don't know if, like for instance, maybe you were buying or selling a house, or maybe you were, I don't know, doing something like getting a new job, or negotiating a salary, or working with a client, or something like that. I feel like this is what's been going on for you recently, and I feel like whatever has been going on with this agreement here, it is triggering, I think, your asking this question today. Now, moving along, we've got the 9 of Swords, so, or sorry, the 10 of Swords. So swords are the suit of air, they're the suit of the mind, they're the suit of logic and reason and thought in general. And to me, when I see the cards for the swords that indicate excess of thought, excessive air, that to me represents things like anxiety, it can indicate depression and things like that, or a general feeling of being overwhelmed on a mental level. So you got the 10 of Swords and it was reversed. So I think something's going on for you right now that is mentally overwhelming. You're like spent. And since it was reversed, the way I read the reversals as either blocked energy, so that could be a delay or this taking too long of a time, or just being really difficult. And those are really two sides of the same coin. Things that are difficult often take a long time to resolve. So if we look at the image though, you know, there's actually no blood coming out of the wounds for the most part. And so this is really symbolic. I don't look at this as someone like stabbing you in the back. I look at this as symbolic, like overwhelmed by thought, being overwhelmed by thoughts to the point of exhaustion. But the good news is that since tarot is a cycle, if we cycle through the 1 through 10, as you know, the 10 comes to a closing, and this is sort of an epilogue, a new journey begins. But right now you're still wrapping up the old. But you can see in the distance, like there's the black sky, but there's the yellow dawning on the horizon. So there is a new beginning on the way, but it seems like you're in a period of this exhaustion, of this mental exhaustion, of something really weighing on you. And to the point where, you know, it's just, maybe it could be depression or anxiety, something like that, or it just could be a feeling of being overwhelmed if you're not prone to those sorts of mental issues. Now, in the immediate future, where I see this kind of progression going is, you know, this is the 4 of Cups. So cups are the suit of water, of emotion, of romance as well. And I think this is already starting to look like the way I usually read this card. This progression to me is already starting to look like maybe that it might not work out with this person, but it might, something new might come into your life. So the basic definition in the books is like of this card is boredom. The way I look at this though is that you've got a man sitting under a tree, and he's looking at all of these cups, and he's not noticing that there's a new opportunity being offered him, but he's so focused on, you know, the cups before him, the empty cups is the way I see them too. You know, he's focused on what he doesn't have, or what the same old, and so focused on that he just, you know, he's kind of like stuck in a rut, and he's not noticing that there's this new opportunity being presented to him. And, you know, being water and this being a romance reading, I feel like a new opportunity for romance may come to fruition for you, may be offered to you. So I think like the lesson of this card is that, you know, you have someone in mind, but make sure you don't ignore new opportunities that might arise for romance, because, you know, you never know, like something even better than this person that you're thinking about could come along, and you don't want to miss it if that should happen. Now, that's the kind of the foundation of the situation. Let me go ahead and pull 3 more cards. I'm going to pull a card for you, I'm going to pull a card for him, and I'm going to pull a card for the energy between the two of you to see what that's all about. It's you. That's him. And this is the energy between the two of you. So let's take a look now. Well, you are heartbroken. Okay, Interesting. Well, everything's right side up, so that's pretty good. But you've got more swords. So now that you've gotten 2 pieces of sword energy right now, so what you're looking like in this relationship, the 3 of Swords, I mean, is literally the heartbreak card. So there's some sort of basically mental disappointment going on for you. I mean, they're stabbing a heart here, and there's also rain in the background. So like a lot of the swords have a lot of water energy in them, even though they're predominantly air. So I would say the predominant element here is air because it's swords. So there's some sort of, there's basically heartbreak on a mental level here. Another way to think about this is like the creation aspect of the number 3, but creation being like the swords manifesting sort of their negative side. So and also the 3, there's another way to look at the 3, like Rachel Pollack in her books, in one of her books, she talks about how, like, instead of looking at the minor arcana as a 1 through a 10, you can look at them as 3 mini journeys plus an epilogue. You can look at 1 through 3, 4 through 6, 7 through 9, with 10 being an epilogue. So here with the 3, you can look at that you're in a place right now where like sort of a beginning journey, like a 1 through 3 is not like, if you think of like the 1 through 3 as being sort of more beginner, 4 through 6 being middle, and then 7 through 9 as being advanced, you can also think about this as like the conclusion to one piece of your life, like a smaller journey that's not the ultimate. But the conclusion of it being the 3 of Swords, though, seems like kind of a heartbreaky type thing. So I'd be really cautious about this relationship, because your energy in it, we're talking about something being rekindled, but I'm wondering if basically you're carrying the energy of the either the depressed energy or the sorrow of it not having worked in the past, and all of the stuff that's led to this point where you're not talking anymore. Because, you know, if things were all rosy, you'd probably still be talking. So now his energy is very interesting. So he is the King of Cups, and one of my things in tarot too is that I think every card has a light side and a dark side. So the King of Cups, there are definite positives of the King of Cups. So his energy right now is one of a mastery over the Suit of Cups, which would be water and emotions. So a mastery on emotional level. So his emotions are in check. His emotions are, he has control over them, and they're not in any way bothering him. But the dark side of this card is that, you know, if you look at the guy's face, he don't look that happy. So there's the consequence to having authority and control over one's own emotions. If you look at, I mean, the background of the image is kind of interesting too. The water symbolizing emotion and even symbolizing romance. The waters are so choppy and turbulent, right? But he's basically on, I don't know what you'd call it, like a throne with a sort of floor to it, like a platform. And he's completely unmoving. He's completely unmoved by the turbulence around him. So in some situations that could be a good thing, but if you think of water as representing emotions and being completely unmoved by it, that might not be such a good thing in terms of being a loving person in a relationship. But now, if we look at the energy between the two of you, we've got the Queen of Wands. So just like kings have authority and mastery over their suit, so do queens. Queens have mastery and authority over the energy of their suit. But, you know, kings are much more active, and they have the more yang energy when it comes to the control. So like, you know, to the point where it could be like, you could think of like going to extreme, it would be tyrannical. Queens, on the other hand, have control over their energy in a nurturing way. So the energy between the two of you looks rather positive, right? A queen has the energy of wands here. The wands is the suit of fire. So that's passion and fire, the fire inside of you. It can also be will. So in terms of like the way you might say battle of wills and things like that. So I think in terms of like passion and what really makes your passion burn inside of you guys, like together, it actually looks pretty positive. Because like the energy is the two of you, there's some sort of aspect of you guys, the flames inside of you are being nurtured and cultivated and how do I say, there's sort of a mutual, the words are escaping me at the moment. A mutual synergy, I would say. There's a mutual synergy for nurturing each other's passions and the fire inside. So it looks good, but I think there's something, I think although the energy is good, I think there's something about you and the energy you're bringing to this situation, which is basically going to make it not work. So I think if you could journal about this, I think maybe you can figure out what is this aspect, because you know about the law. I'm sure you know about the law of attraction. So I feel like you're coming to the table with some sort of energy or baggage or something that although there's the potential for something good to be in this relationship, it's just not, I feel like it's not going to happen. Especially since like he sort of stayed right now, the STAID stayed. Yeah, I don't know. So I would look, you know what, I'm gonna, before I pull your conclusion card, because this is kind of so interesting, I'm trying to figure out what kind of question can I ask about this energy here, to kind of figure out what's going on here. This is going to be your guide, so I don't want to draw necessarily a guide, but I do want to, let's draw an action to take and an action not to take. Let's do that. Just kind of advice cards. So let me see here. Let's draw you an action to take and an action not to take. Okay, so the action to take, you got the Ace of Pentacles. So I feel, okay, so Pentacles are the suit of Earth, and so for me, Earth energy is very much about, in some cases it would be like livelihood, it's like the home, it's like money, in terms of money, how you use it to clothe yourself, to feed yourself, to put a roof over your head, the sort of basic needs, so material, like material stability, things like that. Another definition though I use at the core of the Earth energy is groundedness. So for me, I would interpret this as that, you know, I would take this, being an Ace of Pentacles, a divinely offered opportunity for you. While you're reflecting on this, I'm thinking that this is indicating that you might not be in the most grounded space right now. So what are the things that you can do to get more grounded, whether that's meditation, I mentioned journaling a little while ago, meditate, music, or being out in nature, or you. So whatever the things that you need to do to make sure that you're grounded, because, you know, in the present moment with this overwhelming mental energy that's going on, the sort of like anxiety or depression or whatever this might be here, or just like mental exhaustion, whatever it is here that's going on and it's putting all this like air energy over here, I feel like you need to ground. And so if you get grounded, notice that there's like a wall, sort of a, what's the word, like a sort of a hedgerow made out of flowers and things, but there's like an opening to like move on to the next stage. So I would spend some time in the garden right here, grounding yourself to get through this, so that you can discern the way forward, right? The way forward is like, you know, there's the exit of the garden, and where you go from there, I think you need a little bit of help to figure out where to go next. Now, in terms of what not to do, this is the Nine of Cups. So basically, in the journey of tarot, the eight, the card right. Oh, I don't have my extras. Let me get my extra. Well, yeah, let me get my extras really quick so I can show you the previous card. So the Eight of Cups. There we are. The Eight of Cups. A person is if you look at the way the cups are arranged, the 8 cups, there's one missing, and he's going off on a journey to find what is missing, okay? Now, the Nine of Cups, he's found what was missing, right? And he's super satisfied with himself that he found what was missing, almost a little smug looking. And as I've said before, there's always a light side and a dark side to every card. So in this card, what I always am drawn to is that there's sort of this arrangement of the cups on a mantle, and then there's a curtain, right? Or the cloth is sort of draped such you can't, something's being hidden here. So, and he's also guarding it. So in finding something that was missing, there's kind of a secret that kind of happened on that journey that we're not seeing. So in terms of an action to avoid, what I would say that what I would interpret this as is that, you know, if you're on a journey to find what is missing emotionally from your life or romantically from your life, since it's cups are the energy of romance here. So I would say that, you know, don't think that you have don't think that you've already figured it out. Don't think that you've already found what is missing, right? If these were reversed, you know, and this was what to do, I would say that, you know, you have found an element of what's missing in your life. I'm thinking that what you're not supposed to do here is that, you know, don't rest on your laurels. Don't think that you already have it figured out. Don't think that you've already found, and perhaps in this person over here, don't think that like this is what's missing in your life. Don't think that you've already come across it. Be on the alert for, you know, being focused on what you already have here. I think the resonance here is that, you know, it didn't work in the past. You guys aren't talking. You're heartbroken. You're mentally exhausted thinking about it. Make sure you don't think that just because there's something that's so attracting you to this other person that you are willing to work hard in a long distance relationship, that, you know, that you shouldn't consider that there might be another divine romantic offering coming your way. So that's what I'm getting from those. Now let's take a look at the card you chose. So another sword. So you got the Seven of Swords as your advice card, and it's difficult. It's a difficult card since it's reversed for you. So there's two ways I'm going to read this, especially in light of the way I described these things up here. I feel like you need to get grounded to counteract this. Don't think that you already have it all figured out. This is like a deception card, right? This is the Seven of Swords is you've got a person here, and there's an encampment, and in the very small, in the distance in the background, there's some soldiers and whatnot gathered around some sort of fire, and he's stealing away with 5 of the 7 swords. Now, light side and dark side in tarot, one of the interpretations is that, you know, he's just stealing this stuff, right? So this is often a deceit card. In romantic readings, this often represents being cheated on. However, the light side of the card could be that, you know, you don't know why he's stealing those swords. They could be rightfully his. They could be, the people using the swords could be committing genocide or something, doing something horrible, and so maybe he's a freedom fighter, right? You don't really know, but I mean, the basic definition, though, I would say would be there's some deceit going on here. Now, given the way I was talking about all of these cards, my first thought was that, is there some way on a mental level that you are deceiving yourself, thinking that this could be a really great relationship? Kind of focusing on what you don't have. So this could be that, you know, you're just deceiving yourself. The secondary meaning of this card, to sum up the reading though, could be that there has been some cheating going on in the past. I don't know why you're not talking to each other. So the deceit doesn't necessarily have to be on your end. It could be on both ends as far as that goes. It could be that there was he had some deceit in the relationship, and so did, well, this is tying together your reading. So I would say that I wouldn't think the deceit was in the past for you. I would say that the deceit is about where you are in where is your energy in terms of this relationship and whether or not it's a good idea. So it's kind of a, I don't know, this is kind of a bitter reading. I hope this is helpful to you, and I understand, you know, like I go to a professional when it's something I'm, you know, I wouldn't read for myself for something that's really important where I feel like, you know, my bias would bleed into it. So so I get why, even though you're psychic, you know, you're asking for a reading here. But anyway, I hope this was helpful to you. I think that's all I have to say about the cards. And I hope you figure all of this out. Take care of yourself, try to ground, and yeah, I hope this was useful. Take care.